You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
We are TFR. TFR.
Truth Frequency Radio.
After a conscientious investigation, our result is the Copernican system is not at all proven. All exertions of science cannot make the biblical view of the relation between the bodies of the universe in the least doubtful. On the contrary, what has been found only helps to confirm the fact that Scripture is the truth also in such questions, and that also it never accommodates itself to the erroneous conceptions of men. If the above reasons enable even a single soul to throw off the shackles of mere superstitious reverence for the Copernican dogma and of blind subservience to a scientific priestcraft which abuses its authority most shamefully, the consequence for good may be incalculable. Copernicus or the Bible. Welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Zen Garcia. This is Secrets Revealed here on Truth Frequency Radio. And I hope that all of you are recovering, as are we. It was a most wonderful weekend this past August 5th and 6th. We gathered here in Atlanta, Duluth, Georgia, for the Global versus Flat Earth debate. And I think it was a wonderful time. I have as co-hosts with me this evening both Cathy and Laurel. Cathy, are you there, sister?
I am. Good evening, everybody. Hi, Laurel.
Hey, everyone.
All right. I'm glad that you were able to join us. We're going to be speaking a little bit about some of the things that came out of the conference and also our experience and, just, the whole debate and the environment, getting to meet everybody. It was a wonderful time, and it was awesome to be able to put faces and names and to share meal and conversation with so many of you that speak with us quite often and sharing fellowship over the shows or the different Facebook groups we're involved in. And we just thank everybody for the wonderful support and the awesome turnout. Let me give you both a chance to comment on what you thought about the gathering and how you felt it went. Cathy?
I think by far the very best thing was to be actually in company of the people that we have known, some for years, and the warmth. One of my friends through this medium, through Facebook, through your shows, mentioned to me it seemed like a family reunion, and that in fact is really what it did seem like to me as well.
Yeah, that's an awesome metaphor for the whole thing, but most certainly it felt like a gathering of lost friends, lost family for sure. Laurel?
Yes, definitely. Without repeating, it was just a wonderful time meeting all these new people for me and how helpful and generous they were. It was just a really wonderful time getting to know everyone and spending time with the both of you. And I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah, and let me also add as well that I know that Stephen Ben-nun and Jana, that they are relocating here to Orlando, that in the whole process of doing the conference, they moved from Prague here to the United States in order to enter their daughter into a school here. And so they're going to be here for a while, which is awesome because I know that there are other plans for a conference. In fact, I believe they're already working on something for September coming up very soon, and that it will be on the topic that Cathy and I covered last night in speaking about the whole thing with the North Korea and China and Russia and Iran and the just how everything has been planned, the whole as far as this third global, which I believe really actually started with 9/11. That was the kickoff for it, and the tensions and the whole pressure as far as the war on terror and war of terror, but that we haven't seen it in the way that Albert Pike laid it out in his vision, that it will be a global conflagration, and that it will immerse, as these previous two world wars, many nations and cause much destruction and devastation. And of course, that's not something that I want to happen or want any of us to have to experience, but certainly this is what even the Bible speaks about, because Pike also spoke about how it would be this and also the global financial collapse as far as the world markets, which would usher in the Antichrist and bring forth this alien savior, this false counterfeit Messiah. And so,
I really think the conference was a great opportunity to broaden the scope of people that you reach. Also to introduce our people to Israeli News Live, Stephen Ben-nun,
right.
and his depth of knowledge. And then I felt like there was so much that Dr. Pidgeon, and we've loved and adored him and his work for so long. So what a wonderful opportunity that was. And then going forward to maintain these relationships. And then in the health area,
Yes.
what Laurel brings, and Jana, my goodness, we heard so many fascinating and things that are obscured that we don't know about. Laurel can probably share more on that, but it was such a tremendous conference. And I know that Stephen will be uploading those videos. He's editing and putting it together in more of a professional manner. So everyone hang on. That will be on Israeli News Live very soon.
And they had to get the internet. They had to move into
True.
an apartment and get the internet and all that. So it's coming. And I know many people will be blessed by it. But yes, if you would, Laurel, can you talk about the other aspect of it? Because I thought that the presentation that both you and Jana gave in both days was deeply profound, and that the issue of vaccine toxicity and health and the dangers of transhumanism and all these different things that both of you covered is so critical, and yet it's a topic that a lot of people just want to ignore for whatever reason. But if you would.
Well, I felt like, especially Jana, really brought forth how it's really not a genetic issue. And that was part of my story as well. It all really ties back to diet and gut and just not allowing those dangerous toxins to enter into your bloodstream directly. And just she gave some great things to do if you've already vaccinated. She also brought forth, just even if your child hasn't been vaccinated, but the parent has, you might still have some detoxing to do. So yeah, she really did a thorough job. And I know we will be collaborating with them in the future to bring forth even more information. So everybody needs to stay tuned to that. Also, just remember everyone to lift the Ben-nuns up in prayer. I think they're finally getting mattresses today. They've been sleeping on the floor.
Right.
So I think they also got their internet today, and they are going to be hard at work. She just texted me a few minutes ago that they're just trying to get where they can function, and they want to get these videos from the weekend uploaded as soon as possible because they know everyone is just dying to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I had recorded much of the conference, but I had, for whatever reason, my computer is not recognizing my connection and hookup, and so I have to do it a different way. But we will also be uploading the conference as well as soon as we get it. But I know Stephen, he has the PowerPoint presentations, and that basically had a professional crew set up to record all that. And so, and yes, now that they have the internet, I'm sure it won't be much longer. Many people are excited and have contacted me and are wanting to hear it. And, Stephen's got 140,000 plus subscribers just to his station, his YouTube channel. And so, and also he's got a global outreach. And as far as, on TBN, that he has a show that comes out, and he said that he would be broadcasting segments on it as well. And so it's going to really reach a lot of people and expose many people that might otherwise never have heard of it, to piquing their interest, and hopefully they'll then examine, look into it in more thorough manner, and come to the revelation of it, is what
I was interested to see such a large turnout for Flat Earth, because it was, unless you swayed everyone in the room, which could have been possible, because they were very excited at your summation, the way you presented the information. But with the Ben-nuns having such a large following, I was really interested to see how many people were cheering for Flat Earth being presented as you did.
Standing ovation present.
Yeah, standing O.
I really appreciated all of that. As far as Dr. Pidgeon as well, even though we have differences of opinions with regard to the cosmology, the speech that he gave on the second day and all that he talked about with what's going on and the material that he brought forth, it was a fantastic speech, and I do encourage people to examine, take a look at that when it is released. I know for those that are wanting to hear it, even though the Malav, he uploaded it and live streamed it, but he couldn't do it at really high quality otherwise, because the internet at the hotel was just horrible. And so, but he was able to live stream it. And if you don't know who we are talking about, Malav is one of our friends and close confidants, and he joined us for the conference. It was a awesome pleasure to fellowship with you, brother, and I do look forward to even closer relating. But you can look to his Facebook page, and
his last name is, I'm not sure how to pronounce your last name, Malav. I should have asked you. It's spelled Bhavsar, and his first name is spelled Malav. And if you go to his page and scroll down just a little bit, you'll see separate posts of the live streams. There's several, and it was just the different sessions on the 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
Malav, get ready for a flood.
Right. And there was a lot of commentary, and you could most certainly see that there was a lot of interest just in the, those that he knew and that befriended him. I don't know how he live streamed it, but there was certainly a lot of interest, a lot of commentary, a lot of people talking and speaking about the unfolding and the proceedings. And so it was a really awesome conference, and we brought a lot of material, shared even the Firmament t-shirts. I know many of you have been asking about those as well. You can go to sacredwordpublishing.net. We do have listed there men's and women's sizes of just right now the white t-shirts, which they look really good. But I do like the other colors. And for the upcoming conference in November, we'll be doing another order and making available a lot of the long sleeves. We had a chance to see what looked better and how the design would turn out on different colored shirts, and so we will be making a lot of that available. And also, this was a test run as far as what books we should bring, and there's a lot of interest in not just the Flat Earth books, but also my personal books. And with my having just recently finished Paradise, and Cathy just finished the Book of the Bee, they're going to be bringing a whole truckload of books. And so we should have it all covered as far as, I know there's going to be 1,000 people though. I mean,
I know it's hard to know because our test run was just under 150 and they wanted so many books. But Laurel sees and liked my idea. We'll rent a truck.
Awesome. Yeah. Can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we can just forego on the rooms. Y'all can just get an air mattress for the back there and a fan.
I should have known.
Open the door.
Pack a sack lunch.
Right. There we go.
Right, exactly.
Make yourself comfortable.
We can throw out an extension cord. Someone can help a brother out.
Yeah, exactly. You can just open it up to whoever wants to stay, you know.
Yeah, Mark said we weren't going to sleep anyway. So.
Right. Oh, goodness. But yeah, that's going to be an exciting time.
Since we were mentioning people's Facebook pages, if you go to Laurel Austin, her page, she has uploaded a whole bunch of the pictures, and they are just wonderful. They're all kinds of fun. So go there, and you'll see all of us. You'll see Mark Sargent. You'll see so many people who were there who are friends. And anyway, Laurel Austin on Facebook.
And if you don't know, Laurel is a professional photographer, and it most certainly comes out in her work. And you can tell that she's very skilled, talented with that regard. And so that, yeah, all the pictures that I saw were wonderful. And her daughter also has that skill set. And so Laurel will be covering even the November conference and taking photos, and so that it's going to be an awesome thing. And 3 months is no time at all. This conference came up and went really quickly, and it seemed like we only had a few months to really prepare. But
well, let me go ahead and announce this. I know they had a waiting list for more tickets to be released for the conference, and I know they were released last night. And if someone has not signed up on that waiting list, or they didn't get the email and they want to know about it, send me an email and I can give you the info. I'm at perelandra77@gmail.com, perelandra77@gmail. And I think they had about 50 of the regular level entrance. That was $150 a ticket. And they have like 20 or maybe less than that now of the VIP. They had more of those released. So if you want to go, now's the time.
I would think that if you don't act on it within a day or two, that you won't get opportunity.
Well, and as of today, we were able to book rooms at the discount at the conference rate, still at that hotel, but you got to get on it right now. I'm just so surprised that we were able to get another room at that rate. But we're really seeing people jump on this. This is going to be so exciting. I mean, this is incredible. This is history.
Right. And, Mark and Patricia and others have talked about how there's so much media interest, and there are many documentaries that are going to be made on these proceedings, and that who even knows what's going to come out of this. I mean, probably even movies, documentaries, and just so much.
They're already following Mark and Patricia around doing documentary footage. And it really seems to me that they are moving off of the mocking, that this is getting more serious treatment. And it's just kind of hard to avoid, I think. As much as they try to mock, it's not successful. So it's really, they keep seeing really smart people coming back at them.
It's such an important turn in history right now. And I just feel really blessed to just be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And well, anybody that really seriously considers and investigates this topic, even for one day, because really it only took me one day of serious investigation to come to the conclusion that there is no measurable curvature nor motion to the earth. And those two things, which was, the focus of my opening argument, is that no matter who tries to appeal that, we are, as far as the earth, are moving in orbit around the sun, there's no motion to the earth. There's no measurable curvature. And so we are forced to reconsider and to reassess all that we have been taught with regard to the planetary system, the solar system, the ever-expanding universe, the Big Bang, and all the stars in the sky being suns with their own independent planetary systems. I mean, all that has to be reconsidered. And then with our, with the structure of the firmament being a solid covering, a canopy, and then the luminaries being placed in circuit within its tabernacle, we have to reconsider everything. And that's part of the process of what we are all now going through in reassess and reevaluating and reexamining the scriptures, studying not only the canonical material, but as I do, a lot of these extra biblical books for insight into the different aspects of the cosmology to get a better understanding, even with the deliberation now of whether the earth is a flat square and whether the sun is moving from east to west, or if it is moving in a circle. And in my opinion, the scriptures are very clear. The book of Enoch is very clear that it is circling in revolution above the face of the earth, as we see also depicted in the phenomena of the midnight sun. But, again, all of us are learning, re-examining, and coming to further discernment on so many aspects of it. Even now with this solar eclipse coming up on the 21st, I was looking at the depiction, the model. It's ridiculous to me because they show the sun focusing almost like a magnifying glass, like its light focuses on the moon, and then that's what creates the small shadow of the moon being cast on the earth. But the sun, if it was as big as they say it is, it would not narrowly focus its rays just on the moon and cast a shadow. It would never be eclipsed in the manner that we see it in the skies, especially with it being as massive size. It's just utterly ridiculous. And this is one of the things that also affirms. And when we come back from break, also Cathy was telling me about even the next eclipse, how it's going to be from the other side, and it will be casting a shadow towards the west. And in my opinion, it's only if the sun is moving in circle that this is possible, that the sun could cast an eclipse shadow across the eastern United States from west to east, and then the next time cast it in the opposite direction from east to west. And so again, in my opinion, that shows that it is circling within the skies above. But let me give you both. Go ahead, Cathy.
Well, I just think we're at this point where, we realize the earth is stationary, and this comports with scripture, has all along, and that there is no measurable curvature. Those things we know, their foundation, and we know the scripture is true. Now, the rest of it, we start to investigate and learn on our own, because what we have is a massive web of deceit, lies upon lies upon lies. And so we don't have to worry. We don't have all the answers. The things that I investigate, I'm able to uncover, okay, this is where it began, or these are the things that are built on top of the other lies, and can start, working through it and start to look and discover and see others who are leading the way, who have other skills. We don't have to know everything. This encompasses just about everything we could imagine. So we shouldn't be stumbling over that. We know the earth does not move. We know there's no curvature. We know this is scripture. And I think then we just go forward.
Laura, would you care to comment before we go to break?
Well, Enoch sure does make a lot more sense when you realize that the earth is flat. And I mean, there's definitely more than 2 or 3 witnesses when you have almost 60 verses that say that the sun is what's moving, and at least 12 verses that say that the earth is not.
Right. And with what we observe daily when we go outside. All right, we'll be right back, everyone. All right, welcome back, everybody. And since Destiny Lab was just playing, that's Ezekiel's Will, one of my most favorite songs, I just wanted to announce that we are putting together with those brothers a book of lyrics and of photographs, and are going to release it with their forthcoming album, which I'm very excited for. If you don't and have not heard their music, very talented groups of individuals, and their lyrics are deeply profound. And if you're trying to reach your children, if they happen to like hip-hop, that the themes and the topics that they cover can be very, they're most certainly biblical, but they can reach your children in a way that you might not otherwise have avenue to do so. And so certainly check them out. But
I try to keep in mind how to reach the younger set. I was watching the Seattle meetup, the Flat Earth meetup. They had Patricia Steer was there, and so was Mark. And Patricia talked to someone who actually came to Flat Earth through B.O.B. So, I mean, it's possible. B.O.B. is a rapper, and he put out some flat earth things, and flatline. Yeah. And someone who followed him, I mean, there are millions who do, and the younger people do, and their interest is piqued and they look into it. So, let's think about ways to reach the younger people, because that's who's being lost. They're being lied to.
Right. And the reason they've had no interest in the scriptures is because they have been told that, the science and the Bible, that they don't congeal, and that science is correct, and that the Bible, because it's not correct on cosmology, it must not be correct on the other aspects of it. And so they have been anti-God, anti-scriptures, anti-Christianity, and have been indoctrinated into the mindset that they actually believe we evolved of monkeys, and now they are looking to shows like The Ancient Aliens or Zeitgeist or other individuals or other YouTube channels which talk about, like I just spoke about, this whole blood over intent phenomena, and how people are involving themselves in satanic blood ritual without understanding. They are easily led astray, and they are seeking answers. So they are opening themselves up to the Sumerian mythology, the fact that the ancient aliens have encoded into the cuneiform text this heliocentric model, and that they established way stations on Mars and on the moon in the ancient times. And they see all these ancient megalithic structures all over the earth, and they don't question the other aspects of the lies and of the whole thing that is being pushed forth now, that the ancient aliens are the reason you can't find the missing link. It was them jumping the gun on evolution that created modern humanity, that we were previous just a race of monkeys, that we were just pre-Adamic humans, Neanderthals or Cro-Magnon or whatever, and that it was them either engaging directly in mixing, as it says, with the sons of God, mating with the daughters of Cain, or that they genetically experimented upon us and that they created us and gave us all the things that we see with regard to culture. Certainly, they don't speak about the other aspects of it, which are the demand for blood and victim sacrifice and the offering up of children, in worship in these pagan religions. But so much of the children are clinging to and opening themselves to these shows and these postulations because they feel like it fills in the gaps where
purpose.
they're not being given truth.
But we need to do the next step, and that's to give them a greater purpose, what they are, why they are here, who they are, and why they are here. And that's where it comes in with Christ. And before Flat Earth came, especially in secular world, they didn't feel a purpose. There was despair, depression, drug abuse. I mean, it's still there. They are taught they are insignificant. Carl Sagan's pale blue dot, you are here, and it's insignificant. And they are not taught anything other than that. They evolved from monkeys, and this is in the museums, it's in the mainstream, it's in the culture, it's everywhere, it's pervasive, and this has been the past several centuries, ramping up in just the last one. So this is combating all of that and giving people another way to look at it, another way indeed to come back to God, to his word, and actually study and question and think, yes, I am significant and God does care about me. He's looking down at me now.
And that I have purpose. Laura, would you care to comment? And then I'll...
It's so important to get that truth out there, because the kids, it's kind of like some of them anyway, I get this sense that they know somehow they're kind of being lied to, but they just really can't put their finger on it. And they really don't have an opinion because there's so much confusion. They give us truth and then they give us lies, and then they give us some truth. It's the skin of the truth stuffed with lies, and it just creates all this chaos and this confusion. And to make truth so relevant to them, this is such a crucial time for kids.
Absolutely. I see in looking around that most certainly there is a lot of confusion among the youth. Well, and one of the reasons for that is that the whole American dream and the whole materialistic dream, all that they've been indoctrinated into with regard to the 9 to 5, that get a good education so you can get a good job, so you can make a lot of money, so you can buy a lot of things. That dream is failing them. And we're seeing that our country is strapped with so much debt that all of that is being placed upon their shoulders, and they're feeling the weight and the gravity of all that. But the dream is failing them, and so they are hopeless, and they're not being they don't have hopes. They don't have, many of them realize that, they're not able to support themselves. They're not able to get out and live on their own, and that many, that the quality of life, that the earning capacity, that all of that, even with the wages and the benefits, all that has dissipated. And it is so very difficult now in this generation to make it and to manage and to not only take care of yourself, but for so many kids that are having kids, the struggle is so very real. And then now with the availability of all these hardcore drugs, and just invading their environments and their atmospheres. They have meth flooding the streets, heroin, these really hardcore drugs, opiates, all of that flooding onto the streets and really messing up a lot of people. And that so many, 40, 50% of them are also medicated, are having to be on Ritalin or Adderall or these, these different things to combat the ADHD and the Asperger spectrum disorders. The things that they are contending with them having, in my opinion, been vaccinated and being affected by the heavy metals and the mercury and all the things that are contained within these vaccines, that they are compromised. And because of that, there are so many challenges. Good.
I think they're destroying the spirit. They're destroying the spirit of the youth. And what we need to do is to give them hope, to give them a purpose, to give them knowledge and understanding, again, of who they are, why they are here, and to know the truth about their creator, about his design for them, his desire for them, and what their eternity holds. That would give them a reason. And I wanted to mention too, you chuckled about the gravity thing. The the sad state is if a young person or most people for that matter, if you say something about gravity and you question gravity, they just come back with that silly mic drop, and that's supposed to stand for proof. And now I never questioned this before, but now that I understand Cavendish experiment and the two balls in the shed, it's such a joke. But they come back with, they drop a mic on the ground. Well, that's why. I mean, I've seen so many people that they do that. That's their response. They really think it's like a man on the street in New York City where they can't tell where, North Korea is on the map. People are so dumbed down. So anyway, I thought of that when you chuckled.
Yeah, and the whole thing with gravity, it's just density. I mean, it's just a matter that we weigh something and we are, walking on the foundation of the earth, and that we are simply, our weight is holding us to the foundation of the earth. And that's
I know. How did they supplant common sense, like you just described, with whatever this gravity is, that all mass is attracted to all other mass? That makes no sense at all.
Right.
And we went from theory to fact overnight, it seems like.
Yeah.
And then, if you really begin to examine the whole theory of gravity, the sun, and then Mercury being this very tiny planet, and it's the one that's closest to the sun. And if the sun was truly as large as it is and had this gravitational attraction, it would have sucked in all of these inner planets into itself and burned them all up. And the fact that, these huge bodies are supposed to have these gravitational attraction, and yet there's no evidence, no scientific experiments which show other than the magnetic and the electromagnetic properties of the interaction of the different things. But as far as gravity, all of that it's just false.
It's a magic show. It's totally illusions. It's magic. They have what's the hand behind the back doing, and they've got something going on over here. And I still think one of the best articles I've read, one of the best overall analysis of gravity is from the Narrow Gate web.com, which is Richard Kahlberg, one of our dear friends, and he's writing a book with us, and it's called Destined for Oblivion, and he goes in depth on gravity, and you'll enjoy it. It's real easy reading, lots of videos and pictures, and a lot of great deep information historically and scientifically. So do check him out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just really quickly, how we were ever taught to believe that half of the world is stuck upside down on the bottom of the ball, and that this magical force, this glue of gravity, holds all of the world's oceans to the surface of this ball. And at the same time, birds and bugs and butterflies and all that, they can fly freely, and it doesn't impinge them or hold them down in any manner. It's just lunacy, all that we have been taught and all that we accepted without ever second guessing or challenging all of those mere speculations and mere theories. And now looking at all of that and examining all of that again, it's so easy to see just how much madness all of that really is, and how any of us could have bought into any of it to begin with. It's sheer lunacy. But
well, true science is observable, measurable, and repeatable. Right. So these theories with the heliocentric model can do none of that.
Right. Right, absolutely. And that's the other thing. It doesn't take, you don't have to be a PhD. You don't have to have some kind of mathematical degree and an understanding as far as engineering or physics or anything of that nature to go somewhere and know that you can see things beyond the supposed measure of the curvature, the scientific formula for determining the 8 inches per mile inversely squared, that we can see, as I covered in my speech. Lady Liberty at 60 miles, the island of Oahu from Kauai at over 100 miles at some portions. That seeing all of these monuments, lighthouses, islands, cityscapes. Joshua Newicki with the Chicago skyline at 60 miles. There should be 2,720 feet of curvature in between the observer and what we are clearly seeing with the P900 cameras and with these telescopes, and that was only not possible.
That was only 60 miles. The Morgile has one that's up to 273 miles. Mm-hmm. And you should not be able to see this, but yet they have photographs of it at that distance. There's another one in France. It's 160 miles. So, I mean, this is out there. This is visible. We can see this stuff, but yet, we still are supposed to believe it's a ball. We're on a ball. We're spinning, and we're flying, hurtling through space. The empty, dark, black vacuum of space.
Faster than the speed of sound, or that of a bullet shot from a 22 caliber or 45 caliber gun.
I think they didn't teach that in school because no one would have believed that.
Yeah. Why would you believe that? I mean, the Earth is moving faster than the speed of sound. That there should be all these cosmic booms, happening from that kind of speed and velocity. It's insane.
Even earthquakes. A small earthquake, I can feel them. I'm just sensitive to them. I grew up in California, and so I experienced a lot of them. When the earth moves, you can feel it.
Right. Right. And then again, as far as looking out at a flag, like I have a 30-foot tall flagpole out the front of my house. And most days, I would say, when I go outside, there's no motion, no no movement to the wind, and the flag is completely listless. And they're trying to get us to buy into. I mean, when you go down the highway, you stick your arm out of a moving car 60 miles an hour. You feel that wind, that velocity. You feel the movement of the wind as it's going by, and how they just expect us to buy into that we're moving at that rate of speed. I mean, anybody that examines that, it's absolute lunacy. I mean, and we're not even moving 50 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour, and they expect us to buy into that we're moving at 1,037.541666667 miles per hour.
You know, because I mentioned earthquakes, back to the solar eclipse and the one that follows up in 7 years later in 2024, coming back the other direction. I'd forgotten to mention last night, I don't know if you went to look at that article, but I believe the X crosses over the New Madrid fault area.
Do you no, I didn't get a chance to look at that, but do you have a link to that where you can, because I'd like to pull it up right now, and
I'll put it in the Skype. I did share
over
it
the break.
chat.
You did share it in chat. All right, cool.
Yeah, and there's a map. It shows the image right there in Skype. Can you see that? Where it the X looks like it's coming right, and someone has mentioned that before. I believe when I read the article.
I totally see it now.
Yeah. And, you know, that's something a lot of people have looked to. Something could happen there. And I know with HAARP, I know that it certainly could be initiated. So anything is possible.
Yeah, that's amazing, that path. And again, it's crazy the things
that couldn't happen and not be a sign of some kind. Right. That doesn't happen like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're seeing something happen here, very supernatural.
And then the scriptures tell us, you know, that there are going to be signs in the heavens and in the earth, and the fact that these kind of things are occurring, and even the Revelation 12 sign coming up, all of that, in my opinion, is significant in some manner. Even the blood red moons that have passed. And so these are very interesting times that we're living in, and how it's all going to unfold. We don't know, but I do implore everybody to be perpetually ready for anything, you know, that we should all have at least some food, some water, some emergency supplies, a solar radio or whatever, some medical kit. Just put aside. You just don't know what's going to happen, like with the whole thing with Hurricane Katrina and all that unfolded, how the shelves were wiped out within days, and then there were no trucks that were allowed or able to come in and to refill the shelves, and how so many people starved, and a lot of people perished from just not having food and water.
And I do have a prep kind of guide that Mark Sargent had put together that I can send out to anyone who might email me, paralandra77@gmail.com. And I think it's called Empty Shelves. And I'd really recommend, this was hugely impactful to me, just to wrap my mind around what could happen if, say, the power grid went out.
Right.
There was an EMP. It's called 1 Second After. I think it's Arnold Fukin something. But if you put in 1 second after, that'll come. It's a fictional novel, but it just makes you think about what would happen if you were stuck out on the highway, if you were driving to Atlanta, Georgia, say, and that happened in your car, because we're all computerized cars. It wouldn't operate. You would be stuck, and then you would be on foot. You would be going down the road. Or if you were at home and your children had some kind of disease, like they were diabetic, and you had medication you relied on, and there was no more refrigeration. You know, there are all these things. And in this novel, it portrayed, I think, a year that, the entire grid went down. I mean, these are the things that they talk about. There's even a story out today about a practice about if half the country, dark skies, I think it was called. I don't remember exactly. But if half the country's power grid went out. So, I mean, they're putting these things out into the consciousness anyway. And I think, there's purpose to that. So I recommend that as a way to understand about what could happen. I thought it was really well done. Things being lawless, trying to figure out community again. It makes you think. And then you might go get some water and some extra food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and here's the other thing with regard to all of these tensions and the fact that the Illuminati and the New World Order, that they have written into their whole agenda and into their protocols that they are going to create these conflicts. Well, certainly the different countries, and they know that all they have to do to cripple America is to set off an EMP. That would send us back into the dark ages, and that in itself would cause so much chaos, so much struggle, and so much death. Why wouldn't they do it if we actually went to war? And so those are things to consider as well.
The author's name is William Forstchen, Forstchen, and it's 1secondafter.com. I really recommend it. It stuck with me.
All right, excellent. When we come back from this upcoming break, we're going to speak about organizing some meetups like they just recently did in Seattle, and that these kind of things are happening all over, and we want to help those of you that are interested in gathering a community to do so. All right, we'll be right back, everyone.
Wherever you are, make it Truth Frequency Radio.
All right, welcome back, everybody, for second hour. I'm your host, Zen Garcia. This is Secrets Revealed. I have as co-hosts with me this evening both Cathy Dunson and Laurel Austin. We were talking about earlier in the show about how we just had the global versus flat Earth debate between Dr. Pidgeon and I, myself standing for the geocentric flat Earth enclosed world cosmology, and Dr. Pidgeon supporting the heliocentric Copernican solar system planetary as far as that ever-expanding universe model. And Laurel and Jana speaking on the vaccines and the transhumanism. Stephen Ben-nun speaking on Middle Eastern prophecy. And also Dr. Pidgeon in the second day speaking also on prophecy and just where we are, and their work with Sefer Publishing and our work with Sacred Word Publishing in bringing forth a lot of the extra biblical material to help people to understand and to have access to a lot of the scriptures which not a lot of people know about and have a chance to read. And I will be working very soon on compiling some of these texts which are no longer available, like the book on the Order of the Ancients and other texts similar to that. And also that we are also republishing. Cathy's working on Kings Dethroned, and we recently put forth the Earth Stands Fast, 50 Reasons, Copernicus or the Bible, Gabrielle Henriette's Heaven and Earth, Alexander Gleason's, who created the Gleason map. His book is The Earth, a Globe. And all of these texts are just fascinating reads, and they bring forth at a time and from a perspective when there was a lot of debate and a lot of challenge with regard to the whole Copernican system. And we don't realize that this question of whether the Earth is moving, spinning and orbiting around the sun, or whether it is flat and stationary, that was never settled. Even though the educational systems have incorporated into them the Darwinian and the Copernican worldviews, all of that has been challenged at every turn of the way. And there have been numerous, especially well-educated, very thoughtful, and scientists that understood that in trying to test and to do these experiments where they could measure the velocity or measure the ether and its independent movements from that of the Earth. All of these different individuals, Edward Morley and Sagnac, Airy, all these different individuals, they concluded that most certainly the Earth is not moving and there's no measurable curvature. And so that, again, in and of itself, forced them to reconsider being heliocentrists, forced them to reconsider their postulations and their stance in support of heliocentrism. And so that's what all of us now are also being forced to reconsider, that the facts are, again, that the Earth is not moving, there's no measurable curvature, and so we're all being forced to reconsider all that we thought we knew with regard to the cosmology.